When I look at these competing bailout proposals in Congress, $1 trillion package for the Republicans, maybe $2 trillion, a $750 billion package from the Democrats, maybe more than that, I keep coming back to the same thought. It's not enough. Both parties are thinking too small, way too small. Let me make this perfectly crystal clear. We're not trying to fend off a recession here. We're trying to fend off a depression. Yes, it is that bad. Let's stop using the R word. Let's start thinking the D word. There's a bill kicking around that could produce $2 trillion in aid for people and businesses. I say double it. This is a national emergency. I guarantee you no politician will be criticized for trying to do or spend too much. But I bet they'll be punished for trying to do little, especially in the history books. If we want the economy to bounce back rapidly when this is over, when we need to go above and beyond, well, this is the time. So how much money should we give to hardworking people who've lost their jobs because of a government-mandated shutdown? As much as it takes, that's the answer. And please, let's do it fast before the bills come due on April 1st. Look, we're a service economy. We have to keep these services alive because once we beat this pandemic, we need a base to build on. So people can't just get $1,000. It can't be a one-off payment. The longer this goes on, the more infusions that we're going to need. I say we do whatever it takes to protect these people because otherwise they'll have to liquidate their savings, buy retirement funds. And that's assuming they even have savings. Millions of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. This is the most essential thing. If we don't get that cash into people's hands, I'm terrified that tens of millions of Americans simply won't be able to bounce back from this. I think it's the right thing to do. These are basically government-mandated layoffs. The government has an obligation to mitigate the damage. Plus, when we see next week's horrifying jobless claims numbers, this market's going to be pulverized without this kind of backstop. Second, if we don't bail out small and medium-sized businesses, I say bail out, yes, big. There will only be 3 retailers left when this is over: Costco, Walmart, and Amazon. That's unacceptable. Third, there's some industries that need to be saved, like it or not, in some form or another, because they're too important to lose. Boeing is our largest exporter and has 17,000 suppliers. Between the company and its supply chain, 2 million jobs on the line here. We got to provide Boeing and its suppliers with liquidity. That's what they want. Should be enough. But if they do need to be bailed out, and they're not asking that, saving the actual enterprise is more important than saving the creditors or the shareholders. Travel, leisure, airlines. Again, we got to protect the workers. The workers. I'll use the word again. The workers. So people have some money left over when this is done. Historically, when we bail out industries, we protect the shareholders and the bosses. Please, not this time. Give these companies the liquidity they need to stay alive. That's it. The bosses are rich enough to take care of themselves. We got a word for it. It's called sacrifice. Next up, this market's convinced that a collapse in oil, and boy, has it ever collapsed, crude sleeping below $20 today, could trigger a collapse in the banking system. I don't think that's the case, but there are a ton of jobs on the line, and sub-$20 oil will wipe out our once growing energy sector and ruin our energy independence gambit. The president has to call the Saudis and tell them to turn off the spigot until crude goes back to $30. Saudi Arabia depends on the U.S. for protection. We have all the cards here. Play them, Mr. President. Fifth, the Fed should be given permission to buy the corporate bonds from companies with pretty decent credit so that they can stay alive. I don't care if it costs I don't care if it costs $2 trillion, maybe more. Sure, there's a huge moral hazard problem. Worrying about moral hazards, though, is how we ended up in the Great Recession. Let's not make the same mistake twice in our lifetime. Finally, as much as I love public-private partnerships, they're not enough to solve this crisis. It's too big now. The only organization that really can beat it at this point is our government. And specifically, we need the military. They got the bases, they got the room, they got the engineers, they got the talent, they know how to build field hospitals and containment facilities, they can run the testing centers, and they correctly have our admiration and respect. If we want to come through this pandemic with a functional economy, we need big, bold, expensive action from the government. It's the only thing that's going to cut it. Everything else, it's just plain wrong. Much more Mad Money ahead, including my sit down with AMN